Andrea, I am so excited to have you on the show today.
Thank you so
We
much.
met, gosh, has it been 2 years?
A year and a half.
A year and a half.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it feels longer, but
Yeah.
we met a year and a half ago and real estate event. And there are people that you meet and immediately you feel a connection, right? And so I felt that with you and TJ when we met you guys, and the friendship has blossomed from there. But, I think one of the things that was impressive to me was your story, how you got to where you are today. So I'd love to take you back to that time and some of how you grew up, where you grew up, what led you to where you're sitting today.
Well, thank you again for having me on. I'm excited to share my story with you and others. And hopefully, maybe my story will resonate with someone and be uplifting, encouraging, and motivating. So, I was born in Austin, Texas. I have one younger brother. Both of my parents were working class. I was taught to study hard, get good grades, go to college, get a good job, and save your money. That is what I heard over and over. Save your money, don't spend it. Um, you know, enjoy your life later. Right now, it's daily grind, 9 to 5. You're going to work, you're going to save, you're going to earn. And then when you can retire, then you're allowed to enjoy the fruits of your labor. And I think that was something that my parents learned from their parents. And it wasn't a bad childhood. I had a wonderful childhood, but that's what I was taught. So, flash forward to high school. I knew I was going to go to college. It's kind of what my parents expected of me. Um, I went to the University of Texas. I'm a Longhorn Hookem, and that being said, I really didn't know what I wanted to be. I love communicating. I like relationships. I like psychology. But I just was really thrown into the college sector. And I thought, well, I'll go into radio, television, and film. That seems exciting and glamorous. And at the time, I was dating my now husband, TJ. And my ultimate goal became to graduate and get married because I couldn't get married until I got that degree. I lived at home with my
Was,
parents.
was that your deal with your parents? Was
Deal
I'm
with my
not married until I have that paper in my hand?
Exactly. Well, my parents made that arrangement with me. I lived at home and I during college, and they basically said, "We know you have a boyfriend. We know y'all are serious, but you're not moving out of this house until you graduate. And we won't throw you the wedding until you get your degree." And I'm like, "Okay, easy enough." So I just kind of went through school, and I ended up having my bachelor's of science in communication sciences and disorders. I kind of took some elective classes and found that I really enjoy visiting with people one on one. I like that connection, that intimacy of just engaging with one person, whether it be one child, one student, one adult. And so, people say, well, I thought you were going in radio, television, and film. Well, I still get to be dramatic at work. I still get to kind of put on a performance, I guess. But that being said, I have this degree, and then I thought, okay, I want to get married. What do I do next? Well, either continue education to become a speech language pathologist. You have to have your master's. And the year that I graduated, they created a doctoral program for audiology students. So that is my current profession. I am an audiologist. I have the privilege of helping people reconnect to their lives, to their families, through better hearing and understanding. And so at my job, I work with adults. I assess, I test, I manage, I treat disorders, primarily through hearing instrumentation. And so I love to serve. I have so much fulfillment with the work that I do, and I really do feel that it's something that God has tasked me with. This is something that brings me so much joy, and I love it. I went to school for 8 years to do what I do, and this will be my 16th year in this role. That being said, I'm in my early 40s. I have 2 young children, a 3-year-old son and an 8-year-old daughter. And, as you get older and with each birthday, you kind of look at the future. And TJ and I love these children that we created. They are so wonderful. And I know it's borrowed time. And we started thinking, we love what we do. TJ does what I do too. I'm the doctor, so I get to feel like I'm the boss at the office.
I love it.
He's a hearing instrument specialist. So we both serve patients, treat, fit hearing instruments, counsel, and again, love what we do. It's extremely rewarding, and we generate good income. We're W-2 employees of a family-owned business, and we've managed this practice for them for many, many years now. And that being said, we also wanted to be able to enjoy things with our kids now. My parents worked hard. I remember my dad had 2 jobs. One was very labor intensive. One would, he would get home at 8, 9 o'clock. And I loved my dad. He provided a wonderful life for us. He's still living and he still loves me and I love him. And, I'm his little girl. And he still will share his thoughts about don't go out to eat. Don't spend your money. Save it for a rainy day. Well, what if that day never comes? My thought was, I want to enjoy my life now. I'm working hard and I'm going to reap the rewards of all my efforts, of my energies. And why can't I enjoy it now? Why do I have to wait till I'm 65, 70 to sit back, take a breath and say, okay, we did it. Now we can have relationship with the kids. By then it's too late. They've grown.
Yeah, by then they've graduated high school and they're on their own in college, and their time then becomes more theirs than yours.
Right.
Jacob and I have 2 kids, 27 and 25. So I know exactly what you're talking about because that time went so fast. Like you, we wanted to spend a lot of time with the kids, and I worked a corporate job, a W-2 job for 20 years. And so it was harder until I finally asked my boss, I said, is there something I can do from home? At least part of the week. And this was back before, commuting, telecommuting and all of that was a thing. And I got lucky and I had an opportunity to do that. But even within that, I remember our son was probably 2.5, and our daughter was at school. So he would come and he would knock, his little hand would knock on the door in my home office and he would say, Mommy, conference call? I'm like, that's crazy that he knows what a conference call is. And so I'm with you on buying back your time. Just spend it on those things that are important. I want to go back a little bit to something you said, and that is that what you learned from your parents was, or from your dad specifically, was save your money. I'm Hispanic, and a lot of what my parents did was also very cash based, because that's how their parents did it. So I think it's, what you learn from your parent that you kind of carry forward until you learn something new.
Right.
And for me, I heard the same message and I saw it. My dad worked in oil field construction. Well, that was after he and my mom picked cotton in the fields in New Mexico.
Yeah.
So they were, farm workers. And my brothers and sisters and I went to the migrant farm worker camps in the summer for the kids of migrant farm workers, and it was an honorable, hard job until my dad said, "I've got a lot of kids, eventually 10 of us. It's impossible to support them on that those wages." And so he went into oil field construction, and I watched my mom save. How she did it, I don't know. But there was always money when we needed it. But then I saw that there were the times that I would hear them because my mom would get up at 5 a.m. to fix breakfast for my dad and fix his lunch to take to work. And I would hear those conversations of them talking about money and talking about expenses and what things were needed. And um, there were times when my mom would say, "Well, the savings account it doesn't have much in it left right now because the job ended for my dad. She was a homemaker, or whatever happened that took those dollars out of the savings account." And even as young as I was, I remember worrying.
Yeah.
Why, I don't know, but I remember worrying. And so I decided to go into finance because I'm like, there's got to be a way. I hear about wealthy people. I hear about,
Yes.
people that have, that don't worry about money. How do you get there? And so I went into banking
Yeah.
because to me, that was the place where there was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Somebody's figured that out. And so, it became not a game, but a challenge to learn how to grow money, not for myself always, but the clients that I had, and
Mhm.
even to talk to my aunts and uncles and my mom about how to invest. And it's funny, not funny, but it's great that today she has an investment account and she's invested in our properties. And so, she's learned about how investing compounds your money. Savings,
Absolutely.
your money will grow, but it's small amounts at a time. It's not going to double on you
Right.
very fast
Not like
like
it
we've
used
done.
to.
Yeah, it just isn't going to happen. And so, um, when I left the banking world and Jacob sold his company, and we looked for something to invest in, we found multifamily, and it made sense because one, we were able to see how money grew very quickly. In 2 to 3 years, we could double what we invested, and that was like, wow, compared to what everything else we had done. But the beautiful part of that this business is that we were helping families. We were helping them have a better place to live, and I thought, wow, this was a God thing. This was something that led us to this. And so now we'll jump forward. You and TJ have built a great life. You've established yourselves well. So what made you look for something else?
Well, I was working, love, still love what I do. I'm at the office right now, in fact. And I would work, do my best, have fabulous relationships, conversations with my patients, and then go home. And my kids would say, "Can you play with us, mommy?" And I'd say, "Hold on, mommy needs a break. We knew you were going to say that. You're too tired, right?" And it really, as a mother, it just hit me in the gut because I don't want them to have what's left over. And again, the way I was taught, you trade your time, your expertise, your service for money. And so if I'm not working here at my W 2 job, I'm not earning money. And so that was kind of really the turning point. It was my family, it was my two children, my husband. If I wanted to be the best wife, the best mother, the best, healthiest version of myself, I have to be able to buy back some of my time. And I didn't know how to do that. We have some very, very dear friends here in Midland that did the flipping, um, hands on, and then they did some corporate rentals. And by the time we really sat down and had deep conversations, they said, look, y'all are about 10, 15 years younger than we are. Let me share what we've done. Don't do this, don't do this. Take what you want from our story. But they were living the kind of life that I dreamed of, traveling whenever they wanted, you know, and being able to afford dinners out, some of the materialistic things that, I like certain things. And, it's not bad. It's not a bad thing. Although I think growing up, it's like, I shouldn't, or maybe next time, or I need to get my kids this. So I would always put myself on the back burner. And that's not always the best thing. It's kind of like on an airplane, put your mask on before you try to help others. So it was really that I saw that they were living the kind of life that I wanted for myself and for my family. And I think you also have to be of the right mindset to take what you will of these conversations. I mean, people can talk to you all day, but if you're not in the right mindset, or if you don't think, well, that doesn't apply to me, that's not for me, I don't know anything about that, and
I can't do that, right? I can't do that, right? Yeah.
And so really, it's like a mind game. It's okay. I'm open to learning. I'm ready to listen. They shared their story. And we said, okay, what do we do next? Where, I have medical background. I can program a hearing aid. I can get you hearing better, but how do I do multifamily real estate? I don't have a background. I'm not a realtor. I'm not a real estate professional. And they said, well, you don't have to be. And so that was kind of first, eye-opening. Oh, I don't have to be. And they said, look, here's a couple of books we recommend you read. And one of them was Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So I would share that as a great read. Kind of gets the fire underneath you. It for me and my husband, it kind of made us mad to realize that there's a different way out there than what we've been taught. So it was eye-opening. The next invitation from our friends was, hey, here's a personal mentoring group for multifamily. We think you should attend this conference. Check it out. And that was in May of 2022. That's where we had the privilege of hearing you and Jacob talk on stage. And like you said, you kind of connect with people. I think that there's a vibration or a vibe that you can feel. And I really was immediately attracted to you too. You look like me.
Good.
You talk like me. And not to say that, I wouldn't have wanted to listen to anybody else, but your story resounded with us. It was something that, look, they're Hispanic. I'm Hispanic. They came from working parents who kind of struggled. So did my parents. And look where they're at right now. And look at what they have built, the legacy, the living legacy. I don't want to leave just a legacy. I'm selfish too. I want to enjoy what this world has to offer. And I want to enjoy it in my lifetime. And so that's where we met. And from that conference, the best thing we took out of it was investing in ourselves. We invested in personal mentoring. And I cannot stress that enough. It's like, oh, well, I can just read a book and I can do this and I can do that. But it's having that community of like-minded individuals, of hearing their stories over and over, that I believed I could do it too. That's really the best thing that has come out of this. I mean, not only do I have a vehicle, a way to have my money work for me while I sleep, because I mean, I'm a very busy professional.
Good.
And I didn't go to school to get a doctorate and, build up my patient base just to throw it away. I love what I do. I just want to feel comfortable that when I decide it's time for me to walk away, I can do so without fear of my finances, without worry about, well, how are we going to do this and this and this? And in my practice, hearing hearing aids are medical devices, and they're costly, cost several $1,000s. And it's heartbreaking to see patients 65, 70, 80, 90 still working, not because they want to, but because they tell me, well, after my social security check and after I pay this, this, and this, I have $24 left over at the end of every month. Can I come and can I pay you $10 a month? And unfortunately, the answer is no. You can't put groceries on layaway. I mean, if you need something now, you're gonna exchange that good for your money. And I think that's also another fear that I had was, I have this education, I have my house, I have my family, but what if I lost my job? What would I do? So, the fear of the future was a very motivating factor for us. And honestly, I enjoy my life one day at a time. I mean, in the past year and a half, as hokey as it sounds, I can relax and breathe and think, this is just temporary. I'm still working. I still get to do what I love. But now I see that light at the end of the tunnel. I know that there's a different way. I don't have to work till I'm 69 and a half or 72. I don't even know the age that you get your full retirement benefits. But I'm thinking by the time I'm 55, maybe 50, peace out. Let me travel. Let me show my kids experiences that I could have only dreamed to have at their age.
Sure. Now, as you were going to that real estate conference, I know you and TJ have awesome communication between each other. I hear you. I see you. What were you talking about? Were you talking about we have to have a lot of money to do this?
Yes.
What kind of training do we have to have? What was going through your mind?
So many things. I mean, first and foremost, I feel like I'm the accountant in the family. So I was like, we've got to have a lot of money. And I know what bills we have. I know what goes out, after we get our checks. I know how much money's going out. And I can tell you, we probably don't have the money to invest in ourselves. Moreover, invest in apartment complexes. I mean, you don't just give $1,000. We're talking a significant chunk of money. And
Sure.
for some people, if you say 50,000, 100,000, you might as well tell them 100 million because it's like blinders on, earmuffs, like, oh no, that's not for me. I don't have that kind of money. I wouldn't know. My parents didn't talk to me about money. So how do you get that? And so those were the thoughts and the questions that we were discussing. And, again, just engaging, networking, visiting with other people, you kind of find people in the same boat as you. So we were looking for the newbies, like, okay, tell us, how long have you been doing this? What's success? What are the good? What's the bad? What's the ugly? Tell us. And it was during those conversations that people said, you don't have to have a lot of money. Do you have a home? And I said, yeah, we have a great home. And we've lived in it almost 10 years. And we have a lot of equity built into it. And they said, well, that's something you can do. I didn't know you could borrow against the equity or the money that you've paid into your mortgage. So for TJ and myself, we decided to take a home equity line of credit out. And I'm trying to be really specific to people who've never heard that term. It's called
Sure. No, I appreciate that. Yeah.
But I mean, 2 years ago, I would have been like, oh, I hear those commercials, or I, maybe hear it in passing, but I didn't understand what it was. And TJ and I have always said, well, after we pay off the house in 30 years and we send the kids to college, then maybe we'll downsize and we'll pull that money that we've built into that and then, be able to do something. But again, who knows if that day would ever come? And I don't want to be foolish with my money and, oh, let me borrow against my home and buy luxury goods. No, I'm buying a tangible asset that will grow in value. I'm purchasing real estate. And again, when I would think of real estate, even as early as 2 years ago, I would think Donald Trump, golf courses, high rises. I just even think that word real estate, at least to me, was very intimidating. Oh yeah, I have a house. That's real estate too, but I put it on this pedestal like it's this untouchable thing and only a few people have the right to associate themselves with that.
And you never think that your house can help you make money,
Exactly.
right? All you think about is, I've got this mortgage payment that I'm making every month. I've got taxes. I have insurance that I pay on this home. But you don't look at beneath all of that like you and TJ did. And that was, how much equity is sitting there that's not earning me a dime?
Exactly.
And so that was very smart of you guys to look at, how can you make this happen, right? How can we make this happen?
Yeah.
So let's talk about your first investment.
Yes.
Walk us through your process. You how did you hear about it? How did you kind of dig into it? And then what did you learn along the way?
So the first investment we made was with REAP. And, we got to meet you at that multifamily conference. And I think we exchanged business cards. And, the key is consistency, not just showing up once, trading off cards, but kind of maintaining those relationships. We went on a bus tour. We went on other meetings and gatherings, and we ran into y'all again. And you just talk to people, and we're both originally, TJ and I are from Central Texas, and with y'all being in San Antonio, we just kind of hit it off. And so what I want to tell people is network, visit, talk to people, share your background, share your concerns, share your desires and your dreams, and you'll probably find that resonates with the other person you're talking to. So anyway, we heard about the investment opportunity, and really, TJ and I were like freaking out. I mean, that's the truth. We were flipping out, like, oh my gosh, okay, we're W-2 earners, we bring in good money, we pay a lot of taxes, but we're okay, right? Like, we should just be grateful for the life we have. Maybe we shouldn't take this on. This is unfamiliar territory. And I was really downplaying my abilities. I can't do this. I shouldn't do this. I should be satisfied with my life. I should be grateful for what I have. Maybe I should let this go. But the more TJ and I thought about it, our why, our kids, the freedom of time, the financial security, we said, what's the worst that could happen? You learn from it. So if we make a mistake or we pick the wrong investment or the wrong people, and all right, we'll survive this. So the process was, we spoke to a bank, said, this is what we'd like to do. And it was a very quick process. I was surprised. You're in banking. I don't know how it works. I didn't know if you had to get your house appraised, but they just went off the appraisal district online and they said, oh, okay, well, you have this much, you can take out this much. And I was like, oh my God, that was easy. And maybe it was like a 2-week, 3-week process at most. I mean, underwriting and stuff. But I remember, and I'll have to dig it up, but I remember the day that I got a check that I was going to wire to REAP. And I took a selfie with it because it was such a proud moment. It was the most money that I've ever seen. And we wired it, and probably the best thing I could say about that investment was the communication between you, Jacob, Rebecca, your entire staff. I mean, it's so clear cut. We know what we're getting into. You reiterate, you do webinars, you review, you issue out newsletters. I mean, I think we struck gold with y'all. I really do. And we've since invested in a few other multifamily properties, and we haven't had that communication. And, another reason we went with you is I guess, the mutual connection. But we did our research. We vetted y'all. We looked at what is your business model? What is your track record? It's been extremely successful. Y'all are both business oriented. You've done the W-2. You've done the work on your own, and now you've created this company that makes it very comfortable for me to trust you with our money, because it's hard earned money. And to be able to say, I'm a professional, I'm working, I'm a mother, and yet I know I am funding my retirement. I am funding the lifestyle that I want, that I'm choosing for myself, because I made a decision, and TJ and I took action in, okay, well, this is kind of scary, but we're going to go to the bank. We're going to ask for this money. We're going to wire it to you, and we're going to watch it grow. And it has. And like you and Jacob and other people say, it's not a fail safe. It doesn't mean that there won't be bumps along the road. Anything has risk to it. But at the end of the day, y'all checked off the boxes for us. And
so I want to recap, because what I'm hearing you say is that you looked for someone behind the transaction, behind the deal, that had experience, that had a track record, that was open in terms of communication, that was transparent in every step of the way.
Yes.
And I will applaud you a lot, because that's the first thing I tell people when they ask, well, what should I look for? And I tell them, oh my goodness, I don't care if it's real estate, oil and gas, I don't care what the investment is. Before you give someone a check or your money, please know who they are.
Yes.
Please find out what they've done, who they are. And we've had people ask us, can we background check you? I'm like, we've done it for you. Here's the information. And we've done 30 loans with lenders. Believe me, they checked everything, but we're happy to share it. And so I think that's a key thing you're sharing today with people that, are listening to this video and listening in, is that you did your homework. You asked your friend a lot of questions about what they've done. You went to a seminar, listened to podcasts and things to really understand more about what this is about before you wired your money to somebody. You had a good sense who they were. And I think that is so important for anyone that is watching or listening, is to make sure that they put their money in somebody's hands. And you're right, there are risks. Things can happen. We had a fire on one of our properties a few weeks ago, but there's insurance, right? We've covered the risk that can happen to a property or in an area, and we're very careful where we buy. That's the key, is to be careful where you buy. So I love the fact that you ask all of those questions, and you've kind of looking to the future going, what can this do for me that my W-2 job doesn't do today? Right. So one of the things I want you to talk about is tax benefits. What
Yes.
was it about tax benefits that you learned about in terms of real estate?
Well, as a W-2 employee, we get taxed. They do offer a 401k retirement account. And in the future, when I decide to use that money, it will be taxed as well. And, the story of my life has been work hard, get a good education, earn a good living. Well, I'm earning a good living. I could be earning a fabulous living if it wasn't for taxes. And so that's another thing. I'm not trying to cheat the system. I want everything to be legal here. And I've now understood that multifamily investments can be a vehicle to offsetting earned income. That being said, I'm still working at my job, still plan on doing it. We created an LLC for our investments. And
A
so
limited liability company.
liability company. And, there's a lot of tax advantages for that business. And, you know, you can probably elaborate a lot more on the bonus depreciation, but there are benefits when you invest in a property. It can depreciate over time. They have different ways of calculating that. And so when we start generating significant income, I mean, we're just in the year 1.5, and we'll get quarterly kind of dividends, so to speak. But once we start amassing more, because we're planting a lot of seeds, we're making multiple investments, we can offset that income with the depreciation of those assets.
Fantastic. Well, and I think one of the things that you and TJ did was you didn't just come in as a limited partner. You did in the beginning,
Right, right.
but you kept asking, how can we do more?
Yes.
And you asked us that question, and we're like, here's two very smart people who are involved in a business, who know what they're doing. And more than anything, we like them. We know that they are somebody we want to work with. And so you guys ended up partnering with us
Absolutely. Yes.
on an acquisition, not just one property, but two properties that we bought together. So, walk us through a little bit of that process and what you would tell others about maybe getting a little more involved in a transaction.
Yes. So, number one, always be a student, always be willing to learn. I'm still learning. I'm still holding down the fort at home with my kids and on the side, listening to podcasts, reading books, trying to cram in as much as I can. And then, like you said, after we did our first investment as passive investors, we went on to do a few more. But our most recent role has been capital raisers. We've been tasked with visiting with our friends and family and sharing what we've learned, sharing the opportunities that we've had. And again, it's just a conversation. Hey, what do you do? Well, I got my son at home. We have some family that'll say, we've done the numbers and we cannot retire until we're like 75. And as it is, we get home, we're exhausted. We're putting dinner on the table. We're rushing through bath time with our kids. We're rushing through homework. I get to see my kids about an hour and a half at the end of the day, and that's it. And then it's all over again. Daily grind. And so, these people are looking for answers. They're looking for solutions. And if they don't know, it's because they don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And so,
Right.
Being able to share what we've done with our friends was kind of easy. Just in passing, even some of my patients, hey, how's it going? I mean, we have great relationships. I see these people for years and years and years on end. I provide the service and care. So they already have that trust with me. And then to be able to say, look, we have this opportunity. Are you interested in having your money grow and you don't have to do anything. Well, what's the catch? Well, you've got to have some money to put into it. And
Yeah.
there are also some tax benefits. I mean, we have um, a lot of people who deal with commercial property, and they're talking about, well, I've got to sell this, but I've got to put it into something else, or I'm going to pay bukus of taxes. So it was kind of an easy conversation to have with people. And that was very challenging. I'll share that with your listeners or your viewers, is that I thought, how can I ask people for thousands and thousands of dollars? Who am I to do that? And my husband said, well, who are you to not share that with them? What if you could have impacted someone's life and you didn't because you were afraid of what they were going to think or what they were going to say? And so, it made conversations easier. So that was, like I said, our most recent role. We were able to raise several hundreds of thousands of dollars, which I'm celebrating that. That's amazing. And that's another thing, is celebrate the actions that you take, whether it's I watched a video, I read a book. You're taking action, you're making a decision to improve yourself, the lives of your family, your friends. I mean, you just have to take action, and you have
I
to
love that.
comfortable. Do the
I love that.
until it becomes comfortable.
Yep.
So
And I think, Dr. Andrea Nava, we have so enjoyed you being on with us today. I think what I love is that you ended up with the words take action. When you're afraid of something, you educate yourself and then you take action. 68% of people interviewed recently by Employee Benefit Services said they don't think they're going to have enough money to retire.
Yeah.
Or enough money to live comfortably during retirement. So I love that you shared that message too. The steps we take, the actions we take today will get us there or not. And so I join you in challenging and motivating others to take action, whether it's real estate or other types of investments. Just happens that this is what we know and love.
yes.
Take action today so that you're not sitting here 15 years from now wondering what life could be like had you taken action. So thank you so much for being with us. We sure appreciated hearing all your words of wisdom and look forward to seeing you again really soon.
Thank you so much, Arleen. I appreciate you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.